I read 13 books in January and February. Here are all my thoughts and opinions on them. I have not done a monthly reading wrap up in so long. I honestly cannot remember the last time that I did one. I haven't just sat down and talked about the books that I've read. I mean, I did my end of the year reading wrap up for 2025, but I haven't done monthly ones, so I thought it would be fun to talk about all the books that I read in January and February. Since we have 13 books here and I love to talk, let's just get started so that this video isn't an hour long. First book that I finished in 2026 is Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. This is a paranormal romance. Our MMC is actually a ghost. He is a ghost of Christmas past, and he is assigned to people for, I believe it's like the month before Christmas, and his duty is to help the person get through a hardship that they're going through. He actually can teleport you into past memories. And so when he goes to Harriet, Harriet has no idea why she is chosen. Every one of her memories that they explore, they cannot pinpoint what it is that she is needing to get through. It explores hardships between family dynamics and the expectations that parents can give you. It also talks a lot about grief. I had fun with the story. I felt like there were some times where I thought that it was going a little slow, but I did really enjoy the entire Christmas vibe. I also liked the self-development that our main character Harriet had. It was a big plot of the story. I would rate this book a 4.5. The next book that I read is Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen. Our main two characters are tethered together by their souls for thousands of different lives, and they are having to kill each other, and every single one of them before they turn 18. We definitely don't explore every single lifetime, but we do get a big chunk where we have a nice understanding of what the characters are going through. They're in different types of the world and completely different times, and I really enjoyed it. It would go from past tense to present to modern time. It talks a lot about love and the connection that you have with people. I had a really fun time with the story. I would rate it a 4.75. The next one is Shatter Me by Tahiri Mafi. This is by far the most disappointing book I have ever read. I would rate this book a 2-star. I'm honestly having a really hard time figuring out if I want to continue on with this story. I have like 8 books on my shelf unread of this series. I definitely had a huge learning curve there where I'm not going to buy the entire series anymore because it just feels like a waste of money when I don't even want to continue on with the story. I am a huge fan of young adult. You guys know that I love To All the Boys I Loved Before, The Summer That I Turned Pretty, Mary Jane, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Heartstopper, so many young adult books out there that I love and adore. Yet when I picked up this book, it felt way too immature, way too young adult for me. It felt like I should have picked up this series when I was 10. I feel like if I did, I would have been obsessed with it. I just know that this story did not work for me whatsoever. It was extremely insta-lovey, which is not my type of romance. The dystopian part of it felt way too far-fetched and unbelievable. The entire time we're following this character, and she has this magic where every time that she touches someone, it tortures them to death. So that entire concept is like mind-blowing, and it intrigued me enough to buy the entire series. Yet with the love being not my favorite, with the fantasy element, the dystopian part of it being disappointing, I just was so bored. She would use a certain word and use it repeatedly in like 3 to 5 sentences multiple times on one page. I pushed through, I read the entire book. Literally the last chapter, I was like, there's no way that this is how the book left off. It just was not my favorite. Then to the next book that I read, Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. What's really funny about this book is whenever I think about this book, I think about how there was a scene where Get Low by Little John was in the book. Ba-rum, boom, boom. Dun, 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 to the window, to the wall, to the wall. That song is a banger. That song was in this book. Immediately a star added for that. This is a really fun romance book where we're following our two male main characters who are in different parts of the world. Our male main character in the UK is the prince, and our male main character in the US is the son of the president. This definitely was a really fun twist to the classic romance books that I read. I've never read a book where our main characters are such huge public figures. I would rate this book a maybe 4-star. The next one is Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. You guys already know I am a huge fan of The Hunger Games. It is one of my favorite series I've ever read. It's one of my favorite movies to ever watch. This book did make me cry, which is exactly what I was hoping for. I think it's so funny that I'm like, I love that it made me cry, but no, seriously, if a book and words and the storytelling can bring out those emotions in me, to me, I love it. That goes to show that I'm connected to the characters, I'm intrigued in the story, I care enough about what's happening to be able to make me cry, because I feel like I don't cry very easily in books. If you've never read the books, I highly encourage you. I rated this book 5 stars. I rate the entire series 5 stars. If you've never watched the movies, I highly encourage you to as well. I definitely had to remind myself when I was reading the book that I was like, it's okay, Arisa, this isn't actually happening, this isn't real, this is just a book. And then I was like, oh wait, this is actually what's happening in real life. The next book is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This is a memoir. I had such a fun time with this book. The entire story explores the hardships and dynamics and obstacles that she had to experience and go through from preteen, teenager, adult to where she is now in present time. She just makes me laugh. She is extremely relatable, so raw and real. I love this book so much. 4.75 star. The Martian by Andy Weir. This is a sci-fi book where our main character is stranded on Mars by himself for a very long time. I can't remember exactly how long he's stuck on Mars for, but it's a couple of years. He is on a mission with other astronauts, and this windstorm ends up happening where he ends up getting hit by, I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was like a solar panel. It was something that the astronauts were using for their research. It completely wipes him out, and because they're in the middle of this huge windstorm, the astronauts end up making the hard decision to all essentially abandon him because they assume that he is dead. And little do they know, our main character ends up waking up completely abandoned. He has to figure out how to survive until they possibly come back for him. There is really fun commentary in this book. I just thought that it was a bit boring to me because it was hard for me to really understand all of the sci-fi talk. I still want to say though, like, it was still a good book. It still made me laugh, but it wasn't my favorite. I would rate it a 3.75. We Call Them Witches by India Rose Bauer. This is a horror book. I had some really high hopes for this book, especially because like the first few chapters, I was having a lot of fun with it. It's based in an apocalyptic world where there is essentially these monsters. They call them witches. Someone from the outside world ends up coming in and is needing help, and so they take them in, and shortly after that the main character's younger brother actually ends up going missing. The outsider and the main character end up going after him and trying to find him, and I feel like even just explaining to you what the story is, you feel like you know what's happening, and it felt very predictable, which is unfortunate because I wanted there to be like this mystery aspect where I had no idea what was happening. I felt like I was 10 steps ahead of the story. Like I knew exactly what was going to happening and unfurl. Is that the right word? I would rate it a 3.5. Any Trope But You by Victoria Lavigne. I would rate this book a 3 star. The book is called Any Trope But You. Trope. Yes, it was extremely heavy on the tropes, and to me, I did not like it. And you might think, Elisa, why did you read it? I read it because I got it from Afterlight, which the book itself is absolutely gorgeous. I just did not think the words were. I do like tropes in books. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I think they use the tropes that are very popular and just throw them all in a book, and because the tropes are popular, they expect that we will like it because of that, and that's not necessarily it. It's more of like the writing and the story building that I enjoy. It was not a slow burn. The spice did give me the ick. I feel like I'm just bashing the author, and I do not want it to seem like that. I do not want any hate towards the author. The book just was not for me. The Kiss Countdown by Etta Easton. This romance book I did like. I would rate this book a 4.25. There was a fake dating aspect in this book that I did not expect, and I actually did really like it. Typically in romance books where there's fake dating, it just seems overdone, and with this one it did not. Our MMC is also a astronaut, and I really wish there was more astronaut-y talks. I wish there was more talks about space and stars and more about his job, because that is why I was really interested in this book. Fall at Once by Nora Everly. Our main character in this book is a firefighter, and that is exactly why I picked this book up. This book was cheesy, but I liked it. Sometimes if romance books are way too cheesy, I actually hate it, but with this one, it was the perfect amount of cheese. Yes, it was predictable. Yes, there's probably some things that were far-fetched, but I did like it in this one. It's interesting, like some books, if they're way too cheesy, I hate it, and then some books that are way too cheesy, I like them. Maybe it depends on the mood that I'm in, or just the way that the writing and the story is told. I would rate this book a 3.75, 4-star. Now to the second to last book that I'm going to talk about is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Okay, let me start off by saying in the beginning I had a lot of high hopes, and then in the middle I was like, be for real right now. This is how she's going to be acting, and then by the end of the book I was like, oh, okay. She came to her senses. I liked how it ended. Our FMC is a part of a extremely successful, rich family in the medicine world, and very like prestigious. But because of that, her family puts her to extremely high expectations, mainly her dad, and expects her honestly to not think about what she wants, not to think about her own passions, and to just follow the family tradition. And our MMC is from a small town where there's not even a hospital. He is working at a bed and breakfast, doesn't come from a family with money, doesn't have much money himself. She ends up figuring out what she wants her family name to stand for. The way that the entire story ended up going, I did really enjoy. I would rate this a, I think 4.25 as well, maybe a 4.5. Now to the last and final book that I read, Interesting Facts About Space by Emily Austin. This is definitely one of the books that I have enjoyed the most out of all of the books that I just talked about. My rating for this book is a 4.75. How do I even explain the story? This was more of a self-discovery, character development, character-driven book, and it makes me want to read so many more books like this. This is a genre that I definitely want to explore more because I had such a great time with it. So it says Enid is obsessed with space. She can tell you all about black holes and their ability to spaghettify you without batting an eye in fear. Her one major phobia, bald men, but she tries to keep that one under wraps. When she's not listening to her favorite true crime podcast on a loop, she was going out with a rotation of women from dating apps. At the same time, she's trying to forge a relationship with her estranged half-sisters after the death of her absent father. I know that I like a book when I keep telling my boyfriend parts about the book. I felt like her humor was just hilarious. It felt like dry humor. It reminded me of Juno from the movie, and that is one of my favorite movies. I really enjoyed reading about a character who has a disability. She is deaf in one ear, and I feel like it was just very eye-opening and was one of the parts about the book that made me really enjoy the story. I loved it. I highly recommend for you to pick up this book. Those are all of the books that I read in January and February. I hope you had fun listening to me yap away. That is going to be it for today's video. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.